We'll talk about that. But let's see right here. Zonta Club of Halifax, alert. Music is present with us from cradle to grave, says the news release. From lullabies to soothe the crying baby to the popular songs of every age group. Hearing a familiar tune evokes and awakens strong memories. That's why people remember the song they first heard from David Bowie that made a difference, made an impact. Sarah Faber is joining us now. She is from Dartmouth and currently is studying the effects of music on people with dementia. She's doing so at Anglia Ruskin University in England. I think that's how you say it, but we'll find out if I'm wrong. Sarah Faber is on the phone line. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. Just a little tired, but that's okay. So where is it that you're doing the study?
I'm doing the study at Anglia Ruskin University. It's a university in Cambridge in England.
Okay, so how did you, from Dartmouth, end up there doing a study on the effects music have on people with dementia?
Well, not way back when. In 2012, I was working in Halifax as a music therapist, and I have been working in the city as a music therapist for a few years, and kind of always in the back of my mind thought about doing research. And I was working in long-term care at the time, and really, over the course of working, got to see, especially in older individuals, how music was kind of this important thing that connected people later in life, especially people with Alzheimer's, where, kind of everyday behaviors were starting to go by the wayside a little bit. And so I was doing some research on where I could actually go and do the research, and ended up at a music-minded technology master's program in Finland. And from there, it seemed like kind of a halfway home between Finland and Canada to just stop off in the UK.
How are you doing your research? Tell me about that.
Well, what I'm doing is EEG research, which is, if you're not familiar, it's you put a cap on and then you have these little electrodes that are snapped into the cap and they sit on your scalp. And we put some really fantastic, difficult-to-wash jelly between the scalp and the electrode, and that picks up the electrical signals that's being sent by your brain. So when people are doing behaviors, when people are doing things, or thinking things, or even if they're just sitting there quietly not doing or thinking much of anything, your brain is always active doing something, and the EEG will pick that up.
Now, I don't know if you've seen lots of videos online, YouTube videos and other like, where they show someone who is in a care facility and they put headphones on and it seems to transport them to a different time.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, and I've seen that in person as well.
Tell me what that's like. Tell me what kind of, how do you document that and how do you know what's going on?
That's the $6 million question, isn't it? It's when you're there, it's absolutely incredible to see someone kind of come back. But then, as fantastic as it is and as beautiful as it is, it's also, for me and for some family members, it's incredibly frustrating because you're like, oh, you're almost back. How do we get more of this? I want more of this all the time. And so you have to kind of start really small and, okay, well, how are we going to research people's responses to music? Well, okay, what is music? And that's another massive question. So in kind of music psychology research, people have been spending the last kind of decades trying to quantify what music is, and so breaking it down into increasingly tinier pieces until you can say, okay, music is made up of this 600, tiny pieces. Let's rebuild it back up. And then you can take a look at the whole thing as a whole thing, and that's what people are starting to do now. And so with music therapy, you can kind of say, okay, well, we know what music is. Now what's music therapy? And then you have to go and kind of individually separate and quantify all the individual pieces that differentiate music therapy from music, build it back up, and then apply it to the clients you're working with.
If, in fact, you are somehow tapping into something or making a reconnection, does it work for everyone?
Not everyone, and certainly not everyone all the time. Sometimes it really depends on a person. People are so individual, so if someone's having a really good day or a really bad day, a song might hit them in a specific way that will get those responses and those really profound emotional responses that people kind of see and that make it, onto the internet sometimes, or those responses that family members will talk about long after that person's passed on. But sometimes you don't. You might get a person singing along to their favorite song and doing a complete and fabulous rendition of the Foxtrot one day, and then the next day you can play them the same song and they'll kind of just sit there and maybe tap a foot and nod along. So it's a very individual thing. You're
going to have an opportunity to talk with people about this coming up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. At the Strathcona in Halifax.
That should be very interesting. I'm sure there's going to be a great turnout, and I'm really interested to hear what is it that you'll be outlining. What will you be talking with people about ahead of answering their questions?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to be giving an overview of music and music therapy research into dementia, which is my particular area of research. So I'll be going through a bit. The Zonta Club of Halifax does some really fantastic work, and their members are from an incredibly diverse area of backgrounds. So we've got a lot of people in healthcare, and then a lot of people who are going to be coming from research, business, and frontline care workers who are working with people with dementia. So we have to make sure everyone's on the same page. So I'll be doing a bit of a background on dementia, what is dementia, types of dementia, areas of concern and difficulties faced by the population and their families. And then I'll be going into a bit about what music therapy does in long-term care and in dementia care. And then I'll be going kind of a review of neuroimaging methods and what I mean when I say, well, we image the brain, because there are lots of different ways you can do that. And then when we're all caught up, it'll be going into, well, this is how we research music with neuroscience, and then this is how we can apply it to music therapy. So it'll probably be about 30% background on different things, and then the rest of it talking about what's going on now in research, a little bit about my work specifically, and then hopefully not too many difficult questions.
I'm sure you'll be more than interested in answering any questions, and it'll all be good. Sarah, very fascinating. And do you have? Are you about to publish anything? Are you that far along with your research yet?
Not with the PhD research yet. I do have quite a bit of data from the master's research, which was a similar neuroscience experiment of two people improvising. So what I'm doing now is getting that kind of polished up into an article, which will then be published and read by dozens of people.
Well, no, but the idea this is really is tapping into a real it sort of speaks to why we even care about music to begin with, because it does somehow dig itself into our very being. Absolutely, and especially on a day like today, if everything everywhere you turn on the news or the radio or even talk to people, it's all David Bowie all the time today. So I think people are really experiencing that themselves and their own memories and connections with music. Were you a fan? Absolutely. And what was it? What song? What album? Ooh, song for me today would have to be Sound and Vision. Sound and Vision. All right. Thanks for letting us pick your brain a bit this afternoon. I appreciate this. Oh, thank you very much. Take care. All the best to you, sir.